My family hijacked my vacation plans for my golden sister and her kids. But this time, I had a secret escape plan. I need some perspective on this situation that's been brewing for decades. It's complicated, but I need to share this. Growing up. Growing up in suburban Massachusetts, I, Aurora, 35, always felt like I was living in someone else's shadow. Specifically, my sister Victoria's, 42. Our house wasn't just a home. It was a shrine to Victoria's achievements. Every wall displayed her certificates, photos, and awards. The worst memory that still haunts me was my 10th birthday. While I sat at our kitchen table, waiting for my cake, our parents were busy preparing for Victoria's college interviews. They didn't even buy me a cake that year. Instead, they tried to pass off Victoria's leftover graduation cake, her name still clearly visible in blue frosting. I opened my phone's gallery, scrolling through the photos of my latest digital marketing campaign success. Great job on the Henderson account. My coworker had messaged, but I couldn't bring myself to share it in our family group chat. I knew the response would be the same as always, a quick, "That's nice, dear," before the conversation inevitably shifted to Victoria's latest accomplishment. The pattern was crystal clear throughout our childhood. Victoria made the debate team. My honor roll achievement barely received a nod. Victoria needed to tour colleges. My parents missed my art competition award ceremony. I learned to celebrate my victories alone in my room, my achievements becoming quiet, personal moments rather than family celebrations. The disparity extended to everything we owned. Victoria's room was a testament to our parents' generosity. The latest MacBook, designer clothes, and every tool she needed for her numerous extracurricular activities. Meanwhile, my room was a graveyard of hand-me-downs. When I expressed interest in music, I inherited Victoria's discarded violin, too large for my frame and impossible to play properly. We've already invested so much in Victoria's piano lessons this year. My mother, Patricia, 63, would say with a dismissive wave whenever I asked for a properly sized instrument. The pattern continued through high school. While Victoria received private SAT tutoring and a brand new car for college, I was left with borrowed library books and told to take the bus. Every financial decision, every family discussion, every holiday plan revolved around Victoria's needs and wants. Our father, Richard, 65, would always say, "We need to support your sister's potential," as if I had none of my own. College years and beyond. College was a particularly bitter pill to swallow. Victoria attended a prestigious university with our parents' full financial backing. When my turn came, they offered to cover only half the tuition at a state school. "We're still paying off Victoria's student loans," Patricia explained, her voice tinged with practiced guilt. "You'll need to figure out the rest yourself." I spent my college years juggling 2 part-time jobs, often falling asleep over my laptop while working on both assignments and digital marketing freelance projects. Meanwhile, Victoria was starting her career at a real estate firm, a position secured through our parents' connections. Wedding drama. 7 years ago, Victoria's wedding became the family's sole focus for an entire year. It was like watching a reality show where I was cast as the perpetual supporting character. The designer dress, the luxury venue, the 300-person guest list. Our parents took out another loan despite their financial struggles. One evening, I overheard them in the kitchen, Richard insisting that nothing is too good for Victoria's special day. Was there even a question about who would be maid of honor? I found myself coordinating bridal showers, planning an extravagant bachelorette party, and managing countless crisis moments. "Don't be selfish, Aurora," Patricia would scold whenever I mentioned how overwhelmed I felt, trying to balance wedding duties with my growing career in digital marketing. "This is your sister's special time." The twins' arrival. Then came the twins, Ethan and Oliver. Victoria's pregnancy announcement sent our parents into a frenzy of excitement, despite still paying off the wedding loan. They contributed to the down payment on a house near them, dipping into their retirement funds. The same funds they claimed were untouchable when I needed help with college. "This is different," Richard declared on signing day, his voice firm. "This is for our grandchildren." I stared at my phone as another last-minute babysitting request lit up my screen. The default babysitter role had fallen to me, starting with occasional "could you watch the boys for a few hours?" texts that evolved into regular weekend commitments. Nathan, 43, Victoria's husband, and she seemed to take my availability for granted. The twins, now energetic 7-year-olds, were adorable but exhausting. Every weekend followed the same script. Victoria would drop them off at my downtown apartment with some vague excuse about needing me time or running essential errands. They'd turn my carefully organized living space into chaos, leaving sticky fingerprints on my work laptop and marker drawings on my couch. When I tried setting boundaries or requesting advance notice, Victoria would dissolve into tears about feeling overwhelmed, and Patricia would call to remind me about family obligations, career challenges. I've been pouring myself into my digital marketing career, working overtime to build my reputation in the industry. When a promotion opportunity came up, senior digital marketing manager with more responsibilities and travel requirements, I thought my family might finally show some pride in my achievements. Instead, during our weekly family dinner, I was met with immediate resistance. "But what about the twins?" Patricia's voice carried that familiar guilt-inducing tone as she served pasta. "Your sister needs you here." Victoria nearly dropped her fork, her eyes widening in practiced distress. "You can't take that job, Aurora." "Who's going to help me with the boys?" She gestured dramatically with her wine glass, as if my career advancement was a personal attack on her parenting schedule. The entire dinner table scene felt like a carefully orchestrated intervention. My accomplishments and career goals seemed to evaporate into the air like steam from the untouched pasta on my plate. Richard cleared his throat, adding his predictable wisdom. "Family should come first, Aurora." I pulled out my phone, scrolling through the congratulatory messages from my colleagues, trying to hold on to the pride I'd felt earlier that day. But Victoria wasn't finished. "You don't know what tired really means," she declared, bouncing Oliver on her knee while Ethan played with his tablet. "Try managing 2 children." When I attempted to explain the overwhelming nature of my current situation, the constant last-minute babysitting, the interrupted work calls, the canceled weekend plans, Victoria's response cut deep. "You're just bitter because you're still single," she snapped, as if my worth as a person was solely determined by my marital status. The vacation plan. Last month, after a particularly challenging weekend with the twins that left permanent marker stains on my couch and water damage on my work laptop, I decided to treat myself to a beach vacation. I'd found a quiet, boutique resort in Florida, perfect for the solitude I desperately needed. During our next family dinner, I mentioned my plans, immediately regretting my decision as I watched Patricia's eyes light up with that familiar gleam. "Oh, that's perfect," she exclaimed, clapping her hands together. "We should all go together." The twins would love the beach. Before I could form a protest, Victoria had already opened her phone's calendar app, planning activities. "You can take the boys swimming, while Nathan and I have some alone time," she announced, as if my vacation had automatically transformed into another babysitting opportunity. The twins bounced in their seats, already excited about the pool. My parents, in their characteristic fashion, offered to upgrade my reservation to a more upscale resort where they would all stay, completely dismissing the fact that this was supposed to be my personal retreat. Richard was already discussing child-friendly activities and excursions, while Patricia started a new family group chat titled Beach Vacation, complete with palm tree emojis. That night, lying in my bed, surrounded by the gentle glow of my laptop screen. I made a decision that would change everything. I booked a separate resort on a quiet island, keeping my plans hidden from everyone. Silently, I began my preparations, arranging time off work, packing discreetly, ensuring my emergency fund was accessible. Yes, it feels dishonest, but I've reached my breaking point. They'll be heading to their Florida resort while I board a flight to a different destination. I've disabled location sharing on my phone and braced myself for the inevitable backlash. Self-reflection. I know there will be drama. I know there will be tears and accusations. But for the first time in my 35 years, I'm choosing myself. For 3.5 decades, I've been the reliable sister, the perfect daughter, the ever-available aunt. I've sacrificed my social life, my weekends, my personal needs to meet my family's expectations. Dating opportunities slipped away because I was always on twin duty. I've turned down career advancements that might interfere with my family's constant demands. My personal life has been on an indefinite hold. Opening my laptop, I glance at the travel confirmation email. This isn't just an escape from a vacation. It's an escape from a lifetime of being taken for granted. I plan to use this as a turning point, to establish clear boundaries with my family, maybe even take a complete break from them. I'm exhausted from being the family support pillar, their reliable fallback option. At the airport. The day at the airport was more emotionally charged than I'd anticipated. I deliberately chose a check-in counter, far from where my family would be. Arriving early, I watched them through the terminal's glass walls. Nathan checking their booking details. My parents looking excited. Victoria managing the twins. Their luggage cart piled high with beach toys and children's suitcases. My phone started buzzing as soon as they realized I wasn't at their gate. The messages evolved from confusion to panic to anger. Where are you? We're at gate B12. Aurora, what's happening? Are you okay? How could you do this to us? The boys are crying. I switched off my phone before boarding my flight, feeling an odd mixture of liberation and guilt. Freedom was a new sensation, unfamiliar but exhilarating. My resort was nothing like the crowded tourist destination they were heading to. The moment my feet touched the beach at my quiet island retreat, years of tension began to melt away. No twins to watch. No family drama to manage. No schedule to maintain. Just me, the ocean, and complete freedom. The first days of freedom. The first 2 days were surprisingly challenging. I kept checking the time, thinking the twins would be having lunch now, or Victoria would usually need help with bedtime. Decades of conditioning are hard to break. But something shifted on the 3rd day. I started doing things I'd always wanted to try, but never had time for. I took a surfing lesson, laughing at my own clumsiness. I joined a beachfront yoga class where I met other solo travelers. One evening, I even had an impromptu dinner with an interesting man I met at the resort's coffee shop. It was just a casual meal, but it reminded me that life exists beyond my family's orbit. Dealing with messages. The real test came when I turned my phone back on after 5 days. My screen lit up with notifications, dozens of voicemails, over 300 text messages, and 147 missed calls. My mother had even called my workplace reporting a family emergency. Thankfully, I'd already informed my supervisor about my vacation plans. I listened to some of the voicemails. Patricia's messages evolved from concern to rage to manipulation. Aurora, how could you abandon your family like this? The twins are devastated. Is this how we raised you? Victoria's messages were even worse. You've ruined everything. The boys keep asking for Aunt Aurora. Nathan had to cut his meetings short because I can't handle them alone. But one message struck a different chord. It was from Richard, sounding uncertain for the first time I could remember. Aurora, just let us know you're safe. I don't understand what's happening, but I'd never heard him speak to me without immediately defending Victoria or pushing me to do more. I sent a single message to our family group chat. I'm having a wonderful vacation, and I'm safe. I'll contact you when I return. Please respect my space. Then I muted the conversation and returned to my self-discovery. Transformation. The next 5 days were transformative. Instead of reading bedtime stories to the twins, I read 3 novels I'd been wanting to finish. I had uninterrupted conversations with other guests. Instead of rushing home to help with baths and bedtime, I watched every sunset from my beach chair. I even started journaling to process years of buried emotions. Last night, I had dinner at a small beachside restaurant. The elderly waitress, noticing I was alone, asked if I was comfortable with my solitude. After I gave her a brief explanation of my situation, she said something that resonated deeply. Family is important, honey, but not at the cost of your own soul. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is put yourself first. Preparing for confrontation. When I returned home, I didn't go straight to my apartment. I'd booked a hotel room for 2 nights, giving myself time to prepare for the inevitable confrontation. During this time, I updated my work emergency contacts, changed my door locks, and most importantly, wrote down my boundaries. My family discovered I was back when I accidentally liked a coworker's social media post. Within hours, Victoria and Patricia were at my apartment building, repeatedly buzzing my intercom. From my hotel room window across the street, I watched their performance with an odd sense of detachment. I've scheduled a meeting with them tomorrow at a neutral coffee shop, not at my home. The confrontation. The coffee shop meeting was even more intense than I'd anticipated. I arrived early, choosing a corner table where I could see both the main entrance and the emergency exit, a habit born from years of expecting family drama. My hands were shaking so much I could barely hold my coffee cup. Richard, Patricia, Victoria, and surprisingly, Nathan all arrived together. Thankfully, the twins weren't with them. Before they could launch into their prepared speeches, I held up my hand and stated what I'd rehearsed. I'm setting boundaries, and they're non-negotiable. The next 2 hours were a masterclass in emotional manipulation. Victoria cried about how my absence had traumatized the twins. Patricia attempted her guilt tactics. After all we've done for you. Surprisingly, Nathan tried to mediate, suggesting a compromise where I'd only watch the twins every other weekend. Richard mostly sat in uncomfortable silence. The turning point came when Victoria declared, "You're being selfish. Family means sacrifice." Something inside me finally broke free. I responded, keeping my voice steady and clear. Yes, family means sacrifice, but it's supposed to go both ways. When was the last time any of you sacrificed anything for me? The silence that followed was deafening. For the first time, I laid everything bare. The years of being Victoria's understudy, the financial inequities, the constant assumption that my time and life were less valuable than theirs. I pulled out my phone and showed them my calendar from the past year. Every weekend marked with babysitting duties, every holiday shaped around their needs. Patricia tried to interrupt, but that's what aunts do. I responded with something I'd never dared say before. No, that's what paid babysitters do. And Victoria, if you need this much help, maybe it's time to consider hiring one. The conversation shifted dramatically after that. Victoria stormed out, Patricia following close behind. Nathan, surprisingly, stayed and acknowledged they'd taken advantage of my availability. Richard, after a long silence, murmured, We never meant to make you feel this way." It wasn't quite an apology, but it was something. New beginnings. I followed through with my plan. I moved to a different part of the city, securing a new apartment. It's smaller than my previous place, but it's in a secure building with a doorman who's been briefed about my situation. My new phone number is known only to my workplace and a select few friends. The hardest part wasn't the move or the planning. It was rebuilding my life from scratch. I'd spent so many years being there for my family that I had few close friends and no real hobbies of my own. I started small. I joined a pottery class, became part of a local book club, and accepted dinner invitations from colleagues that I consistently turned down before. The first truly free weekend felt strange. I did things that were previously unthinkable: sleeping in late, browsing a farmer's market, spending hours in a bookstore. No urgent texts from Victoria. No guilt-tripping calls from Patricia. No last-minute babysitting requests. Family reactions. My family's response to my relocation was harsh, but expected. They discovered my new job has a strict policy against personal calls during business hours when Patricia tried to reach me through the company switchboard. Victoria even showed up at my office once, but security had been pre-warned. She sent a tearful letter accusing me of destroying our family. The unexpected development came from Nathan. He sent an email apologizing for his role in enabling the situation. Initially, Victoria resisted him taking more responsibility with the twins on weekends, but she's gradually adjusting. It's a small but significant change. My parents are struggling to adapt. Richard occasionally sends texts, usually awkward attempts at casual conversation. Patricia oscillates between angry outbursts and icy silence. Last week she left a voicemail saying, "When you're done with this rebellion, we'll welcome you back." She doesn't understand. This isn't a phase. Professional growth. Work has improved significantly without constant family interruptions. I'm more focused and productive. My supervisor noticed the change and assigned me to lead a major new project. I've even started dating casually, though I'm taking it slow. The biggest change has been internal. The constant background anxiety I lived with for years has lifted. I've started regular exercise, improved my eating habits, and I'm sleeping better. My therapist, yes, I finally started therapy, says I'm beginning to recover from what she calls chronic family stress syndrome. Moving forward. Last weekend, the twins sent me a package containing handmade cards, saying how much they miss me. It was bittersweet, but I stayed firm. I wrote them back carefully, explaining that while I love them, I need time to take care of myself. I know Victoria probably won't read it to them, but I needed to write it. Yesterday, I ran into an old acquaintance who remarked, "There's a lightness about you now, you look years younger." She's right. I feel lighter. Despite the angry texts, the attempts at emotional manipulation, and the guilt that still surfaces, I feel more free. Epilogue. True love in a family shouldn't feel like a prison sentence. I'm learning that real love includes respect for personal space, acknowledgement of individual needs, and mutual support, rather than one-sided sacrifice. Next week marks 1 month in my new apartment. For the first time, I'm throwing a small housewarming party. Just a few friends from pottery class, book club, and work. No expectations, no drama, no family. Just people who accept me for who I am. I'm grateful to have found the strength to make this life change. Looking at my newly decorated living room, with my amateur pottery attempts and photos of my chosen family, friends who respect boundaries and value independence, displayed on the walls, I feel at peace. The future is uncertain, but for the first time in my life, I'm looking forward to it.